Welcome back to my channel, and today I have something incredibly naughty to show you. This is the Huda Beauty textured eyeshadow palette in the rose gold edition, and it looks something like this. So this happened. Hello babe. Okay. I don't know what possessed me to buy yet another eyeshadow palette. I don't know what possessed me to buy yet another eyeshadow palette. I actually picked this up at the exact same time as I picked up the Anastasia Beverly Hills and Mario um, limited edition palette. So it was the master palette by Mario or something. And then I saw this, and this is the Huda Beauty textured eyeshadow palette in the rose gold edition. And I think I was just drawn immediately to the packaging, this gorgeous kind of very oddie eyes in black and white with the kind of gold foil selective coloring, pet peeve of mine, but that is just beautiful. That really reminds me a lot about the I think, was it the Kylie Jenner eyeshadows? They have these kind of, she has that drawn in eyes with the gold foil on top, so this really reminded me of that. But yeah, so a little bit of background. So Huda Beauty is a indie brand. It's created by a makeup artist, Huda, who is, I think it's Huda Hassan or Kassan, and I think she's from the Middle East. So she is massive, especially in Dubai. So she mainly kind of, I think she started off with having eyelashes. So she had a range of eyelashes, which I never got to try out because I don't really wear falsies. I don't know how to wear falsies, so I was never really that interested. But recently she started coming out with a whole new range of products. So as you know, you gain more popularity and you kind of expanding your range. I think that's what she's been trying to do. So she came out with a bunch of lipsticks and lip liners, and I bought a couple of those. I haven't tried them out yet, and it's just been really Bay is kind of crawling under my chair. And I think she just really expanded her range really quickly. So I didn't even realize that she was going to come out with eyeshadows, but she did, and she came out with this. So the only. Can you hear her scratching away? Anyway, so the only I now a little bit of, this is going to be like a really long story. Anyway, when Huda came out with her lipstick range, it was a massive, how do you say it? Range, I suppose. It really, a lot of hype. So a lot of hype. And I saw, if you go into Sephora, you would usually, if there are new products coming or new range coming out, they kind of put aside a little area. Goodness, know what she's doing. They'll put aside a little area and just say, coming soon and something really exciting. So that was what happened. And I was in my local Sephora, and there was that little range, and I was like, oh my god, she's coming out with lipsticks, and it looked to be liquid lipsticks, and I got really excited because I really like liquid lipsticks. So I got really excited, and then when it was actually released, got into the stores, it was manic. I actually ended up going, I think, like a week or so afterwards, and everything was sold out. Like, just completely, the testers were gone, it was out and it was gone. So obviously I was disappointed, and I kept going back. I went back like 4 or 5 times, and it annoyed me so much. Like, I honestly was just kind of a bit pissed off about it because when the range kind of came back and they started restocking the products, there were just these sales assistants who were always, what is she doing? No, she's just gonna sit up there now. There were just these sales assistants who kept being in front of the counter. So Huda has her own little kind of counter. All the products are there, and they would just stand right in front of it. No one can get through. There's always a massive line, and once you even get to the counter, you can't even swatch anything because you have the sales assistants who were just standing there, and they would hold on to all the products, and all they're doing is just handing over products. So you would kind of go there and say, I want this and this and this, and they would just hand them over. But you didn't get to swatch anything. You didn't get to try out any of the products. You didn't get to see them. You didn't get to see the entire range. And I was so infuriated. There's so many, because I kept going back and I kept being stalled, and I can't get anywhere near the counter because there were so many people. There was even like a guard there, and they had the two sales assistants there, and I was just like, I gave up every single time. I was like, I'll come back, I'll go look at something else, I'll come back. And I came back like 4 or 5 times, and it was always either completely packed, really hyped up, or completely sold out. And I just went, oh, seriously. Anyway, so the reason why I saw this was there was yet another line around the counter. I was like, okay, let's see if I can get in. I want to look at the entire range of liquid lipsticks. I didn't know that they were coming up with the eyeshadows. So I went up there, and then I saw just like at the corner, right at the very top of the counter, were these like stacks of palettes, and I was like, oh, that's really odd because I never knew that she even had palettes. So I was like, oh, what are those? And it kind of, were they liquid lipsticks? What were they? People were like snatching them up, and they were looking. And then there was a girl who was kind of next to me, and she got one of the palettes, and she opened it up and slid it out, and it turned out to be eyeshadows. And I was like, oh, ooh, that's really interesting. And I was kind of umming and ahhing. I was trying to get to the front counter. I was trying to see if there was a tester, if I could swatch them. That didn't happen. And then I was just like, forget about it. I'm gonna go. But huge but. The fact that the palettes were still there was like, it was slowly kind of dwindling. There were like a whole bunch of people who were like just grabbing them and going to pay for them, but they were still there. So I was like, ooh, should I just grab it and see if I like them, if they're okay, if they're nice? And I'm thinking, yeah, okay. So I ended up grabbing it, and this is what I came back with. So I have yet another eyeshadow palette to try, and at least I'm sort of ahead of the curve, I suppose. I haven't really seen a lot of reviews about this. I haven't seen any kind of saw a couple of kind of adverts after I came back, but nothing much about what the palette is. So I am going to swatch this for you. This is the first impressions. I'm going to try a look out of this palette and see if I like it and see if you guys like it. So let's get started. So this is what the palette looks like. It is really, really gorgeous. And it's just a sleeve, and then you kind of have to push the palette out. I'm going to see if I can do that. There we go. And it just kind of slides out like that, and that is the palette. I am a little bit disappointed that that isn't on the actual palette itself. I usually just kind of throw away packaging and sleeves and whatever extra fluous thing that comes out because I don't really need to keep it. I suppose it's so pretty though, like I'm kind of, maybe I should just keep it in there, but this is what the palette looks like. It is really, really big. It comes in like this slim cardboard packaging and a kind of clear front cover, so when you open it up, that is what you're gonna get. So really a little bit unusual, I suppose, because usually you would just have the cardboard packaging and there'll be like a mirror, but this is just a clear case, so you can actually see all the colors. I think that would make it really easy for you to like pick it out from your collection, so that's cool. And I like looking at the colors, like they're really, really cool looking. That's nice. So just slim cardboard. It isn't anything that special. So a lot of brands these days just put all of their palettes into cardboard packaging, so it's not that unusual. And it says here that this is the textured eyeshadow palette, the rose gold edition, which may mean that she's coming up with extra palettes, so we'll be keeping an eye out for those. And it says there's 3 ready to layer textures in a deep matte, 3D metal and pressed pearls. So And there's no talc in here, and they're like highly pressed pigments, so that's really cool. It does say that this is made in Italy, so that's nice. It's not like made in the back end of China somewhere. So that's nice. I'm hoping they're really good quality in that case. Obviously, she is coming out with eyeshadow formula for the first time, so I don't really have anything to compare it to. And there's obviously been no reviews, so I'm gonna see what that is. So obviously this is called the Textured Eyeshadow Palette, and you can immediately see why it's called that, because right at the very top, if you can see it kind of glistening right there, they're obviously kind of metallized, and you can see they're really, really chunky. So except for kind of maybe these two, Angelic and Moondust look more like the kind of normal shimmer eyeshadow formula that we're used to. And then the majority of the palette is actually matte. So that was really interesting to me. Like all of these and all of the bottom row is in matte, which is really cool. Now, it is called the Rose Gold Edition, but you can obviously see that there are a lot of reds in here. They're really warm tone, lots of reds, pink, kind of bronzy rose gold here, gorgeous gold right there, called 24K, obviously. And they really remind me of the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette. That went completely wild, like lots of hype about that too. Lots of people really like that palette. I didn't end up seeing it or even picking it up, simply because I didn't even see it. In Sephora, there's always like a little kind of section, and they all say Modern Renaissance palettes, but when you actually look at it, it's not that palette, it's something else totally, so I have no idea what they're talking about. But this really reminds me of them because of all of the red tones. That's just like the most gorgeous kind of purpley, deep, fiery red. That's really cool. So I don't actually have something like this in my collection, like all of the red tones, like very rose goldish. And it's funny because a couple of years ago, I think the Pantone color of the year was Masala, and it's just kind of coming up with a bit of a revival. Like a lot of people are coming out with these shades, so I thought that was quite cool. And let's get to swatching. So I'm interested to see what they're like, and how they perform. But first, you do actually get quite a lot of different shades in here. There's 6 and 3. I think you get 18 eyeshadows in here, so that's quite a lot of different shades. I don't know how deep it goes. It's definitely not going to be as thick as that, but how many grams of products do you get? You get 18 grams of product, so that's not too bad. And you get a lot of different shades to go through, so it looks like there's no kind of repeat shades, which is quite common with a lot of palettes, and they all look, you have some couple of neutrals, lots of different neutrals, kind of some transition shades, which looks really cool, and then you have the really bright colorful shade. Right off the bat, I can see that it is a little bit powdery, like that one's just kind of falling away, but I'm definitely the most interested in those kind of pressed metal pigments, and I'm kind of wondering whether they're a little bit similar to Kat Von D pressed eyeshadows, because those look really cool. I'm still kind of on the lookout for a palette full of them. So let's get started. I'm going to start with swatching them on my fingers, on the back of my hands, and then I'm going to try to see if I can do an eye look for you, and then tell you my thoughts afterwards. So let's get started. So I'm going to start with the textured eyeshadows from the top and kind of work my way through and then down to the mattes. And let's see what they're like. So fingers on ready. Got a little bit of smudging on there. Ooh, okay. Definitely like pressed pigment like. That's really interesting. Ooh, that is beautiful. They're quite gritty to the touch, so you can kind of feel like they're very chunky glitter. And those are the first 3 shadows. So that is called Dubai, which is kind of this olive, neutral olive color. That's quite cool. The gorgeous middle color is called Fling. Is it called Fling? Yes, it is. And it's just that gorgeous kind of reddish purple, bright metallic. That's really cool. and then 24K, which is the kind of old gold color, so it's like got a little bit of a green tinge to it. I'm going to swatch them on the back of my hands and see how they translate. Ooh. Yes. Okay, so the kind of chunky formula doesn't really, they're kind of a bit different between each other. So I can see that that is Dubai, really, really nice. Fling is gorgeous formulation, really smooth, really creamy. But then you come to 24K and it's a little bit chunky, and you can kind of see how bits and bobs are kind of falling off it, even though once I've actually blended it in, you can see how creamy it is on the actual finger itself. So a little bit of a difference in terms of formulation, but I think the pigment is beautiful at the moment. So let's see what the rest is. I'm just going to clean up my fingers. Can definitely see that it is much more of a chunky glitter. There's just glitter going everywhere right now. So if you're not a fan of that, this might not be up your alley, but considering that they've called it a textured eyeshadow palette, that was kind of what I was expecting. So I'm going to move on to the three colors which were, looked really, really cool. So you have rose gold, trust fund, that makes me laugh, and angelic. So considering that this is called the rose gold edition, I'm expecting the rose gold color to be freaking amazing. So that is definitely a little bit drier, and it's much more similar to the 24K formula. Same thing with trust fund, and then when I go into angelic, ooh, cute pink. Okay, this is what the shades look like. So that is rose gold right there, trust fund, gorgeous bronzy copper color, that is beautiful, and angelic, which is a kind of more satin shimmer, and it's a little bit drier to the touch as well. So down the back of the hand, ooh, that's really funny. So definitely you can see how they're swatching rose gold, trust fund, and angelic, and you can see how it kind of crumbles and falls away. So it's definitely a kind of pressed pigment. They really remind me of the, oh, what is it called, Stila pigments. Stila came up with this eyeshadow formula that was like pressed foil, and you mix it a little bit with like a liquid agent, and it's like this brilliant metallic colors that come out. But that really reminds me of it. It's kind of a little bit crumbly, kind of, and you can definitely see the way it's just sticking to my hand. It's a chunky pressed glitter. So that is really interesting. I'm trying to get them off my hands now. Definitely not your traditional eyeshadow palette, where you get like a mix of shimmers and satins and mattes, and they're kind of like the normal pressed colors. This is definitely a mix of formulation. So you have the very glittery, chunky, metallic foil, and then you have the other eyeshadows. So that's quite interesting. I'm gonna go in on the second row, Blessed, Bossy, and Flamingo. So starting to get into the mattes now. And Blessed feels very much like Dubai and Fling, so it's less of that chunky, but it's not really a satin shimmer either. Ooh, that's nice. That is cool. So that is Blessed. Followed by Bossy and Flamingo. The mattes are quite soft, and they feel, that is really pigmented. They feel quite soft, but a little bit drier to the touch as well. So, ooh, that is beautiful coloring. Okay. So that is Blessed. It's kind of not showing up because it's at the back of my hands here, but that is gorgeous color. Followed by Bossy and Flamingo. The mattes are definitely coming off as lighter swatches. They're not as pigmented. They look really pigmented when I swatch them with my fingers, but once you actually blend it out, it's a little bit patchy, a little bit sheerer than I expected. So much more of a drier matte formula. That's interesting. Do a lot of cleanup. There's a lot of eyeshadows in here. We're gonna take a while to swatch through. I'm just getting glitter everywhere. Ooh. Oh, and some of it have basically fallen on the floor. Oh dear. Okay, let's go like that. I'm gonna follow up with the rest of the mattes. These are much lighter shades. So I've got Shy, Bay, and Moon Dust. Now, Bay is, I think it's like, you know, honey, like, you know, my boo and my bay, whereas my cat is actually, her name is spelled B-A-I and pronounced Bay. It means pure in Chinese, so a little bit different, but I'll take it. So that is, I'm gonna start swatching these. Definitely a little, definitely drier. And Moon Dust is that kind of shimmer formula. It's quite pale. So you can see that all three are quite pale. That's Shy, Bay, and Moon Dust. And I'm trying to see where else I can swatch them. I might have to start cleaning my fingers. Okay, so that is Shy. That is Bay, which is like a nice kind of matte highlight on my skin. Followed by, where did it go? Sorry. Followed by Moon Dust right at the very top, which is a nice glitter color as well. So I'm gonna have to start cleaning these because I have basically run out of hand space. And I'm gonna clean those off. There we go. Ooh, okay. I tried to clean off, I think it was the Trust Fund color, and there's just glitter all over my hands. Oh wow. That is not coming off. Can you see that? Like, see that kind of shine, and just, there's definitely just glitter everywhere. Oh god. I'm gonna have to wash up quite avidly. Okay. Not sure what I can do with that. I'll just keep going. Okay, so I'm gonna go down to the final row and I'm gonna swatch from the other side actually, because black truffle at the back, at the end is a black, so I don't want to really mess up my fingers. I'm gonna go with sandalwood, henna, and man eater. So let's swatch. Ooh, that's pretty. Cool. Okay. So some really nice mid-tone transitional shades, which is cool. So we've got that gorgeous masala color, which is man eater, followed by henna, followed by sandalwood. So these two are really nice kind of crease transition shades. And then just swatching. Those swatch a lot better than the ones before. So that is man eater, henna, and sandalwood. So that is quite nice. Do a bit of clean. And the mattes clean off a little bit better than the textured eyeshadow, so that's quite cool. And then I'm gonna go with the black truffle, suede, and cocoa, so those will be the final shades. Oh wow. So soft, like black truffle is just kind of satin on the hands. So that is black truffle, followed by suede, followed by cocoa. Cocoa is a nice kind of deep brown, whereas suede is that kind of leathery color. It's quite cool. It's like a cool tone taupe. And then black truffle is the black. It's not as pigmented as I thought it'll come off at. It's quite a smoky black. And those one definitely, they swatch a little bit like the first matte. So black truffle, suede, and cocoa right there. Cool. So those are the swatches. Now they're a little bit drier than I expected. So compared to a lot of other mattes that I'm used to, they are definitely a little bit sheerer, a little bit more, I don't know, it's kind of just quite light. It feels, you do get some really good pigment from them, but they are a little bit kind of patchy when you sort of swatch them like those. So they're not as full-on creamy color as I expected. I'm just going to clean my hands at the same time because they're looking quite patchy now. I've just got glitter and color everywhere. There we go. I'm going to have to wash my hands. There's just no way around it. There we go. But the foil textured eyeshadows are quite cool. Like, I don't really have something like that in my collection, so they're interesting. And I'm just wondering how much use I'll get out of them, but let's try some of them on. I'm gonna try some of the mattes and the shimmer and some of the foils and see how they perform. Now, this doesn't have a mirror, so I'm gonna have to go and grab a mirror and then I'll be right back. I have a little compact mirror and my trusty brush. This is from Real Techniques. Really like this brush, it's really easy to use. And I'm going to go in and show you what shades I am picking up. So I think I'm going to start with, what shall we go with? You do get a lot of fallout, so that's interesting. I think I'm going to start with Sandalwood, all of the eyes, as a basic kind of color. And see how that is. I'm not sure any color came off. I'm gonna just start off with one eye and then see how that goes. Sandalwood is really soft. I can barely see any payoff from there. So I'm gonna go in with a stronger color, maybe in the crease, and see if we can build up a little bit of color. I'm gonna go in with Man Eater and put that within the crease and see how that's like. So I'm gonna pick some up just on the tip and I'm gonna run it through the crease. I'm finding that I have to really build up the color. The pigment isn't coming through as much as I'll like it to, and it's just sort of kind of blending away, so I'm not getting that strong kind of reddish shade that I wanted. So I'm just gonna do next I'm gonna go in with, I'm gonna try a little bit of Fling, which is this purple. It's one of the foil shadows, but it's a little bit more of a satin finish, so it's not as chunky as the others, and I'm gonna kind of pat them on the mobile lid. Okay, is it just me that nothing's really coming out? It's not really as I expected. I can see it's picked up on the brush, but it's quite difficult to work with. That is really odd. Okay, let's go with, I'm gonna go in with Cocoa, deepen that shade up a little bit. Okay, that's much better. So gone in with Cocoa, and then you can definitely see color coming out. Before I go in, I think I'm going to pat some of the rose gold, just kind of on the mobile lid. I'm going to go in with, what is that shade called? Moon Dust, and do a little bit of highlight. Like, it's okay, it's quite dusty. The overall look is quite mauvey. I did expect the red Man Eater to be like a really kind of vibrant deep dark red color, and it's not really working out that way. I could barely see sandalwood on my eyes. Cocoa definitely comes out much better. Moon Dust is not too bad. I'm gonna go in with, I'm gonna see Rose Gold maybe. Let's see. It's not really picking up with my brush. I'm gonna go in with fingers and see if I can pat that on. Okay, I've got some on my fingers and I'm just gonna. Oh wow, okay. That was not what I expected. Am I just doing this wrong? That is not fantastic. It's really chunky, really chunky glitter. It's kind of gotten everywhere. I can't really, half of it is still on my fingers. It's not really adhering to my lids. And it's just that kind of, and I can't really blend it either. It's quite glittery. I'm trying to just sort of smooth it so I can create. Oh, I just got it under my eyes as well. Oh, and on my clothes. I'm gonna try the bronzy shade and see if I can. I'm patting that sort of just on the outer corner. This isn't fantastic. I'm not really sure what to do with this. It's kind of like super chunky. It's not kind of, I'm just gonna blend it. No, you know what? That is horrible. I'm gonna take that off. I'll be right back. Okay, so I ended up having to take it right off my eyes, and it's actually being quite sensitive at the moment. It hurts quite a little bit. This is not fantastic. I kind of had really high hopes for it. The colors when I swatched them looked really interesting. The foil eyeshadows I was the most excited about because they were quite unusual. I don't have anything like that in my collection. And when you kind of swatch them on the back of your hand, they feel really nice. But oh my god, I don't really know what to do with that. Maybe it's because I'm not a makeup artist, but I am a beauty consumer, and I buy a lot of makeup products. And if you're marketing something towards a beauty consumer and you want them to buy your products, this is probably not the right way to go, because it's just this difficult to work with. The mattes don't feel smooth. It's got kind of like a really weird color payoff. I could see a little bit. So if you're kind of into that sheer, barely there kind of look, then maybe, and then you have some fun stuff to play around with. But I'm not a fan. Honestly, I'm not really sure what to do with this. I'll see if I can take this back and get a bit of a refund, because it's just, I can't deal with this. I don't know. Maybe I need to play around with it some more. I think I'll try that. See what I can do. So I really thought I could do like a kind of base and then kind of pat the foil eyeshadows like on top, and it'll be like a really cool metallic foil look. But it's really chunky, and part of the color just kind of rubs away and it doesn't blend well together. Not sure. A little bit disappointed. I am wondering if they're coming out with additional palettes. Maybe the formulas would change. Maybe there's something else that would be really cool. But as a first edition, it's a bit of that's too bad. Anyway, if you have bought this palette and if you like it, you don't like it, do let me know in the comments below. If you do like it and you've had some successful eye looks, I would love to hear about it, because I want to know how to make this work. So let me know in the comments below, and If you liked this video, don't forget to click like and subscribe down there. Let me know what else you'd like to see, and I'll see you next time. Bye!